2 years ago, Ken Van took the prize. Then, Cactus Jack Duncan won in 2008. Who will win the Best of the West this year?
Playing for 600.
Okay, you got 3 players. Player 3 is all in.
Getting nervous.
Cost you $2,300 to call.
One does 15,000.
They shouldn't check. They should just push it right there.
1,000 and 2,000. Good luck, gentlemen.
All in for 1,200.
Don't try to be a psychic or something. You're not gonna make a living being a psychic.
Northern Quest Resort and Casino presents the Best of the West Poker Challenge. Hello, everybody. Along with our poker analyst, Anthony Fedeli, I'm Jim Brinson. And this is going to be a sensational Best of the West Poker Challenge tournament. $130,000, Anthony, in total prize money. And if you're the winner at the end, it is a $40,000 check.
Absolutely. A great opportunity for these players here today. It's still the largest money-added tournament in the Pacific Northwest.
Let's set up then the tournament format right here.
Little different format than we're used to seeing in large tournaments here. Instead of playing down to 11 players, waiting for that last player to get eliminated before the final table, we play down to 20, split them into 2 flights of 10, and then we play each of those tables down to 5 and combine those 2 flights of 5 into the final table.
Well, Anthony, this is the first of 5 shows, and what we're going to do is, beginning with 200, we will count down to 80 today.
Good luck, everybody. Let's put them in the air.
Well, earlier we talked a little bit about cutting down to 80, and we're going to highlight some of the players for you that we think will be involved once we get down into the 80 that are left. And we begin with Cam Buffington, who finished 3rd in 07, 8th last year. Tracy Baker finished 4th in 07, made the second round in 08.
And everyone needs to look out for our 2007 champion, Ken Van. Since winning, he's gone pro. He has been playing poker and quit his day job. John Nugent, also a poker pro, looking to make up for 2 disappointing finishes.
Paco Mendoza is a guy who was the runner-up last year. He'd like nothing better than to be the #1 guy in this tournament. Chuck Shoup, best finish 16th last year in this tournament. Arlen Auld would like nothing better than to make it past, obviously, that second round. By the way, Anthony, he's a tribal police detective.
And also, we need to look out for Dan Kang. He's a former dealer here at the Best of the West Poker Challenge. Poker dealers always make great poker players.
So as we get to the table, and Josh Neblett with the ace-king, and he has gone all in, Anthony. And by the way, at the Fall Festival of Poker last year, he was a top 10 finisher.
Yeah, it looks like Josh Neblett's got himself in a little trouble here early. Decides to push in with big slicks unsuited. Pairs his king on the flop as well as 2 9s. The turn shows a 10, and that gives Fleming, who is also called Neblett's all-in, a straight king high.
$3,200.
Neblett not pleased with what he has seen so far.
Fold. Okay, gentlemen, let's see it.
Neblett flips up his cards now that there's only 2 players left, and he's not going to like what he sees here.
We got kings and 9s.
King or 9?
Need a king or a 9, kings and 10s, straight wins.
That river's going to do it for Neblett. We saw him do well in the Fall Festival, but the cards just didn't go his way this time.
Well, he was hoping that he would once again be a true competitor in this, but it just didn't work out for him. Third member of our broadcast team is Doug Clark. Let's check in with him right now.
Tough loss for our 22-year-old player, Josh Neblett. Josh, what happened?
Frustrating day. Got a lot of 3-8s and 4-8s and those, and then they'd hit on the flop, and, you know, you're not going to play those. All in with ace-king. Blinds were going up, and 9-10 caught a straight on the turn. So it's a humbling sport, as you said, and came here confident, and it's a loss. What can I say?
Well, we're going to move off the main table here and go over to Chuck Shoup.
Something tells me Chuck Shoup likes the band Ministry. What do you think?
4,500.
He's also sporting some bling, too.
He uses that bling as a distraction. Shoup, a very aggressive player, also sporting a pretty large chip stack for this early in this tournament. And it looks like he's in another hand here.
Well, he's trying to close somebody out right now. As the cards come out.
And it looks like Shoup takes down another pot with a top pair.
Well, you talked about his aggressive play a little bit, Anthony. I mean, this is a guy who's been around and understands the game and tries to force something to happen.
Option.
Back now on the main table.
Four players going to the flop here, and we see Johnson ahead here with an ace-10 kicker.
Check. Check.
Players checking around. No one really wanting to throw any money at this. No one's paired up except for the jacks that are already on the board. And that deuce is going to give Mendoza and Gabbert two pair.
1,500.
And if they both stay in this pot, they'll end up splitting it. Harris now to act with ace-8 suited. Trying to figure out if that ace is good enough to win this pot here.
Call.
And he calls.
Pass.
Johnson folds wisely.
Pass. Let's see it, guys.
And Gabbert has folded. If he had stayed in, he would have split this pot with
Jacks
Mendoza.
and deuces with a queen.
And
Jacks
Mendoza
and
with a
deuces
queen
with a queen are the
deuce
winner.
suited is going to take this down. Nobody must be getting any very good cards because I don't think any of them belonged in this pot after the flop, Jim.
Sometimes it's a struggle, Anthony. Sometimes you get great cards and then other times you don't. That's why they call it poker. You know that. More of the Best of the West Poker Challenge coming up after this. The Best of the West Poker Challenge is brought to you by Northern Quest Resort and Casino. It's all about the journey. And by the Western Gambling Journal. Welcome back as we continue now from Northern Quest Resort and Casino, and we're going to head off table right now and take a look at Cam Buffington as he continues to play. But a very interesting scenario. His wife, Debbie, is getting ready to join this table.
I don't want to go to the same table as my husband. He'll beat me up.
What's going to happen?
I'm going to actually take a couple pots from him, so yeah. Because he said he'd be nice to me. I'd rather have him at a different table, you know, until the very end, of course. So, well, yeah, that's true. That's true. Maybe he'll be nice and give me a hand or something, you know.
Probably only if you take that hat off there.
3,500.
Here we see Reed with ace-jack offsuit, looking a little short-stacked. He calls the big blind there.
Pass. Pass.
Dale Chobatar now with a pair of eights, Anthony.
All in.
And he's also gone all in here now.
Basically the only choice he had with this kind of hand in the position he's in.
5,900. 2,400 more to call.
2,400 more to call as we hear from the dealer. And Reed with an ace-jack offsuit calls.
Chip in a chair.
Okay, gentlemen. Let's see him. Pocket eights. Ace-jack.
So this is kind of a coin flip situation as we see the flop 10-3-2. No help to either player.
Eights.
6 on the turn. Chobatar's 8 still
Jack on
in the
river.
lead, and a jack
Eights
on the
are
river is
eliminated.
going to end Chobatar's day.
Nice one, man.
River.
Okay,
The last
we have
card
dead
does him
buttons,
in.
Small and big.
It's always that river, right?
You got those 10 for me, Pop? Yeah. Thank you. 5,000 for 5,000.
And so Reed
8 for 16.
takes the pot. Back now to the table where Deb and Cam Buffington are playing. Remember, Deb really didn't want to sit at this table with her husband.
Here we see Cam Buffington going all in, and the one thing we've learned about Cam is you can never count him out. He's very comfortable playing with a short stack, and he can be very sneaky sometimes.
But he is struggling right now, Anthony. And he needs a break if he wants to continue to be on the table.
Here we see the player on the left in the big blind contemplating calling Cam's all in, and he decides to get out of the way. So Cam all in with a pair of sixes against ace-4 offsuit.
Here's the flop, 7-8. The jack on the turn. And the river card is a queen.
So Cam's pocket sixes hold up, and he doubles up.
I've been down before. But not out. Don't count me out yet.
Cam, no one is counting you out. We know how good you are. Let's say hi to Cam and Deb.
Well, I hope that Debbie takes me out of the tournament, and I only take second place.
Really? That's very gracious. How about you, Debbie?
Well, yeah, because he's spotting me for this tournament, so I have to pay him half of anything I win.
Ouch.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about your finest poker moment that I got to watch. When you won that trophy, what did you come in? What place?
Took third place.
Third
in
place.
the first year of the tournament. So yeah, that was exciting, and I got the trophy cup, and it's been very useful around the house. My wife and daughters have found many uses for it. The girls brought home some goldfish from the fair, and we used it as a goldfish bowl. And company comes over, we use it to put candies in. And the rest of the time, it has potpourri that the girls use it in. So I'm looking forward to placing again and getting in the top 3 so that I can actually have one that I can use for myself.
I thought fish candy was only popular in Japan.
Let's get back to the table because Deb now is going all in.
Deb with a king 10 offsuit versus a pair of queens and another player with pocket eights.
Well, Deb, right now you can just tell by the body language that the die may be cast. And here come the cards. Pair of 5s plus the 6, no help for Deb. Another 6 pops out.
And a 10 on the river is going to do it. Deb's day is done.
So no more playing on the same table with her husband, Cam.
Pretty much.
And we return now to the main table.
16 to call.
Now, we haven't seen a lot of really big hands here at the main table. Players are struggling to get good cards a little bit here. Let's see if things improve here.
35.
Collins jumps out with an ace-10.
3,500
That's
to
Brandon
call.
Collins.
Pass.
All in.
All in.
And here we see Jeff Crowley going all in with
Double
pocket
it.
queens.
7,000. 3,500 more to call, and you'd be heads up.
And here everyone folds around, and only Collins left to act, and he
There's
calls.
your change.
A little bit of a loose call there on Collins' part.
Pair of 6s come out.
Jacks
On
and
the flop.
sixes, queens and 6 jacks.
Then the jack on the turn.
Ace, no
And a
ace.
4 on the river. And so Jeff Crawley will win that hand.
Can I give you a hug now, Sal?
This is yours. There's your one change.
Do you hug?
Yes.
Crowley asking for a hug from the dealer there. He was short stacked and doubled up through Collins.
Okay.
Well, we go back a long way.
Well, we have a lot more poker on the way, everybody, as we continue in the Best of the West Poker Challenge. Stay tuned. Along with Anthony Fedeli, our poker analyst, I'm Jim Brinson. The cards continue to come out fast and furious as the elimination process continues from 200 players down to 80. Anthony, how difficult is it right now for these people sitting around this table? The concentration level, obviously, is tremendous. You have to keep your head in the game.
Absolutely. It's an interesting sort of fatigue. You think, well, I'm just sitting here playing cards. This can't be hard on me at all, but the concentration level needs to be so high. Your focus needs to be there. It really is a lot harder than it looks sometimes.
If it gets around to me, I want to know if I get 500 back. Ray is all in.
And we move back now to the main table. Paco Mendoza has tossed his cards in. Welsh is all in with an ace-queen.
All right.
Is that what that was?
You win this already? No.
Okay.
Price showing a pair of twos.
Oh, another deuce. Come on.
Another coin flip situation here. A small pocket pair with 2 overcards.
Good luck.
Both players all in, and a queen, 5, king on the flop.
Welsh moves way ahead in the hand with a pair of queens, middle pair.
And the king on the turn.
Price is looking for a 2 and a 2 only on the river. We'll get this hand for him.
How'd I know that was coming?
This is like playing on the
And he draws it. What a turn of events right there.
Teach him to go all in on me.
2000.
At least they're having some fun here, right? Especially when you come from behind like that. Get it on the very last card.
Some tells me he's not having very much fun right now, getting his 2 pair cracked on the river.
Here's Randy Haney right now in the middle of a pot.
He's all in with ace-jack offsuit against pair of 10s. And he flops 2 pair to move way ahead in this hand. A turn in the river and no help for his opponent, and Randy Haney doubles up.
And he was very short stacked. He was about ready to go right there.
He was
all in. So now he has enough chips, obviously, to stay in the game.
No pain, all low.
And here's Chuck Shoup. He's got pocket aces, and he's all in.
Low.
So the king of bling now waiting to find out if he stays and plays or takes a hike. And he is going to stay and play because he just won that hand.
Pocket aces holding up for Chuck Shoup.
Well, let's check in then with Chuck because he is the product of our Western Gambling Journal profile, known as the King of Bling at the poker table.
All out war.
That's it.
You're declaring war.
I'm declaring war. Make it through today. That's my main goal. Make it through today with a substantial chip lead. Roll into tomorrow. Handle business. We'll be talking again after the final table.
Your opponents have reason to fear you.
That's it. That's it.
He's a pretty confident guy, isn't he, Anthony?
Pretty bold statements there from Chuck. Here we see Tibbetts all in with pocket aces. And Mendoza is going to call him with ace-jack offsuit.
Let's see it, gentlemen. Ace-jack, pair of aces.
And Mendoza is dominated in this hand. He's going to have to catch 2 jacks.
Pair of 7s pops up, though, on the flop, along with the queen. And then it's a pair of 9s.
So Tibbetts doubling up through Mendoza. Mendoza still looks like he's in okay shape. A little short stacked after that hand.
Thank you.
That's exactly, though, what Tibbetts needed.
3,000 to call.
And we continue now with more poker action.
Blinds are now 1,000 and 2,000 as we see Gabbard in the small blind, Mendoza in the big blind. And Tibbetts limps in here.
Couple of players already tossing in their cards. There's another.
Tibbetts with pocket fours.
Crowley says he doesn't want any part of this hand.
Folded around to small blind, Gabbard.
Option. 3 players.
And Mendoza checks his option. So Gabbard with an ace-6 offsuit. Mendoza checked his option with queen-9 offsuit. Picks up top pair,
3,000.
pair of nines.
6-2-9 on the flop.
Raise 6,000. Total of 6,000.
That's Mendoza tossing those chips onto the table.
So Gabbard picked up middle pair. He bet out at it. Mendoza raised with top pair, pair of nines. And now Tibbetts with his pocket fours is next to act.
Pass.
And he gets out of the way. Now it's up to Gabbard to see if he wants to call Mendoza's raise. And he does.
Go ahead. Check.
And the 5
All
on the
in.
turn.
87.
And Paco Mendoza now has gone all in.
Gabbard's pot committed pretty much at this point. He should call. And he does.
7,200. And you get 1,500 back.
So Mendoza went all in, but had more chips than Gabbard.
Pair of
So Mendoza
nines.
gets 1,500 and change back.
Player 3s. At risk for an ace
We
or
wait for the
6,
river,
nines
and it's a
fives with
5.
queen.
So Mendoza takes down Gabbard.
Good hand.
3.
Well, Paco Mendoza, Anthony, finding ways to keep himself on the table.
Well, he did so well last year against Cactus Jack. He finished second, but he's looking to break through for a win this time.
Give it 2 of those rounds out there.
So Mendoza feeling pretty good that he just closed out one player. And looking to try, obviously, to maintain. You want to be in that 80. Remember, we're cutting from 200 down to 80. And there is Ken Van. He was the winner in 2007. And we're going to flash back right now with the Western Gambling Journal profile about taking the big prize that year.
Once we were down to 3-handed play, that was Cam Buffington, Dan Largent, and myself. And we were all fairly equal in chips at that point.
I remember.
And once we got there, I decided it was time to be aggressive. And there were actually only four hands that were actually played, and I won 3 of the 4. So I don't know. I kind of bided my time. I knew I had enough chips that I didn't have to press with because of the blinds, where the shorter stack still had to.
As we complete session 1, these are 10 of the 40 poker players as they continue to play on in the Best of the West Poker Challenge.
Poker players don't lie. They're like fishermen and golfers and hunters. You know, they never lie.
Welcome back as we continue now with more poker.
We've already seen our first group of 100 players get whittled down to 40. It's time to start the whole process over again with group 2.
Well, earlier we talked a little bit about bling and about distractions. Here's our Doug Clark with more distractions.
You know, ever since they outlawed firecrackers, players have had to come up with new and more creative ways of distracting their opponents. Getting inside the victim's heads, as I like to call it. And one of the best ways that you'll see watching poker on TV is the funny hat, silly hats. Players will wear cowboy hats or Minnie Mouse ears or, you know, and it's all about, well, making your opponents angry. so they make mistakes. I brought a few real-life poker examples of these hats. I call this the Tyrolean feather hat. The hills are alive with the... Yeah. I love a parade. You cannot concentrate when the player next to you is wearing one of these babies. That's good beaver. This is one of my favorite babies because not only is the hat disturbing, but you can like lean over and whip somebody with the tassel, which reminds me of a story about tassels. That's a whole different thing. But finally, the player who is really insecure, what they use is a hoodie with a hat and sunglasses, so nobody can really see anything. I can't even see the cards right now, but I can peek at my neighbors. So without further ado, this is Doug Clark signing off until another time. So what do you have? Really? I've got that beat.
Doug going for the good, the bad, and the ugly look.
I'm surprised he didn't break out into full mascot uniform.
Back on the main table now. And the cards continue to fly. Any distractions that you see there? Let's see, we got a cowboy hat and a couple of baseball hats. I doubt if that'll have an impact, however, in this game.
Raise to 1,700.
Here we see Johnson putting in a raise to 1,700 with ace-jack suited.
Now, Lonnie Kelp right now is trying to figure out, should I play or should I go?
Kelp sitting on a pair of deuces.
He's considering his options, and he is going to jump into the fray.
Wilson folds pocket fours from the button.
Oliveira in with an ace-9.
Three players.
Oh, wow.
That's unbelievable.
And Kelp drives headfirst into a brick wall. He goes all in with his full house, jacks full of twos, but little does he know that Johnson is holding quad jacks.
Nice hand.
Nice hand.
Very nice hand. Turn him over, please.
Nice.
Wow. That wasn't in rad fours.
So Johnson's going to double up here. The rest of this hand is just a formality.
Like any of the flop.
Oliveira folded as well.
What a flop.
Okay.
What a flop. Nice flop.
6,000.
Remember earlier we were talking about how players weren't getting great cards?
Well, all that seemed to change with here in Group 2.
5,000.
That was a tough call.
Yeah.
Brandy Johnson loving life right now.
It doesn't get any easier after you flop quads. It just takes a lot of effort not to smile while you're still in the hand.
No brainer on that one. Wow.
And now Johnson can relax and show her facial expression a little easier there.
I know, I can't believe it. I was like...
Well, let's check in now with Arlen Ald and see how he's playing.
Looks like we have a battle of the blinds headed to the flop here. Everyone folded around, Ald in the big blind. 3 diamonds on the flop.
6-2-4.
Jack on the turn. Ald calls a bet there. 4th diamond on the river. Someone could have a flush here. Both players check, and Ald flips over a 7 of diamonds. He's won this hand with a flush.
Arlen Ald bounced in the second round last year. Interesting about him, he is a police detective. So here is Arlen Ald in our Western Gambling Journal profile.
Arlen Ald, I'm doing an interview with you now, and I imagine most of your interviews take place in little rooms with one-way mirrors. Is that right?
Little tiny rooms, just me and another person.
You're a law enforcement officer?
Law enforcement, yes, sir.
Tell me what you do.
Well, I was on the road for nearly 2 years, and I just made investigator for domestic violence. So I just try to get to the bottom of things, interview people, witnesses, suspects.
And what agency do you work for?
Flathead Trouble Police out of Pablo, Montana.
Well, thank you for your service. Now,
You betcha.
you grew up around here?
I grew up just north of here. Yeah, actually, I grew up on the Kalispell Reservation, just about an hour north from here.
And you don't have a file on me, I hope.
I don't, not yet.
All right.
We'll see what happens today.
Thank you very much. I hope we can keep that just between you and me. But how'd you learn how to play poker?
I actually, for the department I worked for up north, I saw the guys playing it at lunch, and I wanted to sit down and play some nickels and dimes with them, and that's what happened.
Arlen, I can imagine you've been trained in a lot of interview techniques. Reading body language, maybe look for the sweat and the pulse, the little vein in the neck. Can you tell when somebody's lying, or?
I can only tell when I'm watching TV. It's a lot different when you sit with a table of 10, but I try not to get too aggressive.
Sure.
I see my play seems to be a little strong when I got less chips. If I do get to a point where I have chips to play with, I think I'm going to settle down and relax. And I think I'm more relaxed when I have less chips, actually. But it's different every time because, like you said, I deal with people all the time, and I try to adapt to the person next to me.
And hopefully you'll be concentrating on the games and not trying to make an arrest.
I'm always looking for the bad to go on, so I'll be looking over shoulders today.
Well, if he's looking for a bad guy, I recommend our Doug Clark.
Look out, Doug. He's coming for you.
That's terrific.
Blinds now at 600 and 1,200.
57, Ryan, we'll have him. 57 and in.
That's Paul Rowe. He's in with an ace-10, and he's all in. Lonnie Kelp considering his options right now.
Kelp with a king-9 offsuit. A little more cautious after getting his full boat cracked by the quad jacks.
All in. Good luck.
Oliveira with a pair of jacks, and he goes all in.
Oliveira with 8,600. So with everyone else folding behind him, he'll have some change, and Rowe's tournament life will be on the line.
Three queen jack pops out.
Oliveira moves way ahead in the hand with trip jacks. And the board pairs threes, giving Oliveira a full house, jacks full of threes, and Rowe's day is done.
Oliveira enjoying that moment as he was pushed to the brink, but survives.
Very cooperative board. Almost doubles up Oliveira. Looks like just another day at the office for him.
Blas Oliveira right now continuing his lucky streak. And we will continue to do the same here from Northern Quest Resort and Casino as the Best of the West Poker Challenge continues. We continue from Northern Quest Resort and Casino, Best of the West Poker Challenge. Pend Oreille Pavilion.
3,000.
Arlen Ald now playing at the main table.
Ald puts in a raise for 2,000, and Green with pocket aces behind him throws in kind of a lazy call. Trying to hide the strength of his hand a little bit, maybe. And here we see Oliveira again with Jack-9 suited. Decides he doesn't want anything to do with that.
18 to call. Heads up.
Ald checks after the flop, 4-6-8.
$3,000.
Green throws in a bet of 3,000 with his pocket aces. Ald now calls.
9 on the turn.
Come on then.
All in.
Green pushes all in
About
after the
7,000
turn.
there. $7,000.
Let's see what Ald does. He's getting a count from the dealer now. Hopefully with an underpair he would consider folding this, but I don't think he thinks that Green is as strong as he is. I think Ald is putting Green on a stone cold bluff here. Little does he know
that he's not bluffing.
That he's not. Wisely, Ald folds.
Small pair.
Oh.
Every card on the board beat my pair.
Good decision by Ald to fold an underpair.
Well, Lonnie Kelp is trying to make something happen for himself.
Kelp moves all in pre-flop here. With pocket sevens, very
Rolling bet
aggressive.
Over $20,000. Chips.
He's probably just trying to steal the blinds here, even though he's got a pretty strong hand, and it looks like he's run into Brandy Johnson, who's called his all-in bet with pocket aces. A 4-1 favorite going to the flop.
Flop is 2, 7, 9.
Set of sevens for Kelp pushes him way ahead in the hand.
And Brandy Johnson has to get an ace, and she does not.
Hold on to make sure. He's got it covered. Easy. He's got over 20,000.
So she
with a
had
yellow on the
pocket
bottom.
aces and ends up getting bounced, Anthony.
Pocket aces tend to get cracked more times when you play them than they win.
Ace, king, ace, ace.
Alan Thorpe, we haven't heard from him lately. He was the Fall Festival winner in Omaha.
Alan Thorpe also running into against pocket aces with a big slick. A 6 on the river could get him a tie, but it doesn't fall. So now the dealer has to count out the chips to see who had more chips going into the flop here. Alan Thorpe looks a little sick after being dominated, having his big slick dominated by pocket aces. Looks like he'd almost rather go home than be left with whatever he's going to be.
I think you're right about that. I think that face right there tells it all.
Looks like one chip is left for Alan Thorpe, but that's all you need.
Well, getting bounced out of the competition earlier was Brandy Johnson. She's now with our very own Doug Clark.
Brandy Johnson, looks like not your night.
Not my night tonight. That's all right, though. You can never feel bad when you go out with the best hand. When you get all your chips in there with the best hand, you can never feel bad about it.
Oh, what was your hand?
I had pocket aces, and he moved all in pre-flop with sevens, and I called, and he hit a 7. But that's okay. That's poker.
Man, you had pocket aces, and you got beat by trip sevens?
Mm-hmm. All in pre-flop, so nothing you can do about it.
That's a good attitude, but that hurts.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. But that's okay.
Wow. Well, thanks a lot, Brandy.
Yeah.
On the main table, Oliveira checks his cards and decides, nope, don't like those.
Here we see Andy Vitale limping in with Queen Jack offsuit.
Arlen Ald thinking about it.
Raised to 4,800.
Ald announces a raise with pocket sixes.
Lonnie Kelp with a Queen King. And Wilson Jack 4.
Kelp in the small blind.
Call,
He just calls.
4,800. 3,200. Green.
And Wilson from the big blind left to act with Jack 4 offsuit.
No, plus that's in your left hand. There you go.
And he folds. Action now around to Vitali. And he decides to fold. So 2 players headed to the flop here. Alt's pair of 6s in the lead.
Check the flop dock.
Cards are 5, 7, 3.
Lonnie Kelp checks. 2 on the turn. Alt checks. And Lonnie Kelp checks. A 4 on the river gives Ald a 7 high straight. He
All
checks. And Lonnie Kelp on a stole cold bluff
15,200
pushes all in, and Ald
in.
calls immediately.
Okay, let's see it, gentlemen. 7 high straight.
6s, wow.
7 high straight.
What a hand for 6s. Nice job.
I like it. I like it.
I do like that river. We will love that.
So Lonnie Kelp, it looks like he's going to get a few chips back here.
But he's teetering on the brink right now.
Checking to the river.
I'm glad my
Lonnie Kelp seems like a little bit of a loose gun here. He pushed all in pre-flop earlier with pocket 7s. Got lucky, took out Brandy Johnson with pocket aces.
Nice pot.
Thank you.
That's 5,000. I give you 10,000.
Northern Quest Resort and Casino. It's the best of the West Poker Challenge. We are not finished yet. The best of the West Poker Challenge is brought to you by Northern Quest Resort and Casino. It's all about the journey. And by the Western Gambling Journal. More poker in a moment, but let's check in with Doug Clark.
My friend and former classmate Alan Thorpe here, who I think the most amazing thing I just heard is you hung around for 4 or 5 hands with 1 chip.
Yeah, well, I won one, and then I had enough to see a couple more hands. So, but it was the ace king the time before, and I ran into aces, so it wasn't a good foreplay for me.
Well, it's always a good time to see you, and I'm glad you came out.
Thanks. It was a good tournament. They do a good job here. Thanks.
Arlen Ald back at the main table. He folded out on that one.
And here's Lonnie Kelp again going all in pre-flop with ace-10 offsuit.
11,300.
And here we see John Nugent at the main table.
With the blinds.
All in.
He moves all in as well. Ace-king suited.
13,000, 15,000, 15,300. John, you're going to get 3,000 back, John.
So John Nugent had Kelp covered, all but 3,000 chips.
Versus ace
and he's now a 3-1 favorite headed to the flop.
Is at risk.
Well, Lonnie Kelp already up.
Run a spade.
Might be riding out of here.
Down to 10. 3 outs. Winner for the ace king.
So Lonnie Kelp taken out by the poker pro John Nugent. And all smiles from John.
Absolutely. Kelp has to get on his horse and ride.
John Nugent building a pretty good stack here for Group 2.
Give me 10 more. I'm sorry.
10 more of these guys.
Yeah. That's 5.
Well, Nugent's stack is increasing, and he's performing reasonably well right now, Anthony.
Yes, both Nugent and Ald taking command here at our featured table, it seems.
5,000.
And here he's in for this spot with Queen 10 offsuit. Ald takes a look at his cards, doesn't like what he sees. He was in the small blind. And Green from the big blind calls with King Jack offsuit.
Heads up, gentlemen.
King 10-7 on the flop.
Green spikes top pair on the flop.
6.
Nugent now with 2 pair after the queen on the turn.
16. 16,000. 10,000 more.
Trying to eke as much money out of Green as he can here now that he has 2 pair. Feeling a little more confident about his hand. And Green calls.
Check dark.
Green checks in the dark before the river card falls, and it's an 8.
Queens and 10s. Pair of kings with a straight draw.
Nugent's going to take down the pot.
Queens and 10s are good.
Well, we talked about how he's taken out some other players. Now he has played another splendid hand here.
You're going to check raise me on the flop, aren't you?
Brown ones. Throw those brown ones out there. 4 brown. See your blind here.
Nugent with a little table talk there, assuming that Green was going to check raise him right after the flop.
Arlen Ald sitting on a pair of 8s. Well, you just heard the announcement and the applause, and these players will play tomorrow, and we are now down to 40 players in this session.
Oh my, Green has just pushed all in, even after the announcement that they were all going to make it to tomorrow's round. So Green could have folded, and oh, I can't believe he's pushed all in with 4-2 suited. All he had to do was fold, and he would have been in play tomorrow.
Give me your great chips, because those are going to be chipped up, all the great chips.
Now, Trista Jordan, Anthony, is just checking to see what her chip count is.
4 and 8.
Excuse me?
Tomorrow the blinds start at 4 and 8.
The blinds tomorrow. 400, 800, they go down tomorrow.
So Trista is asking what the blinds will be tomorrow. Since she's already short stacked, she wants to be able to know that she could survive a few rounds of getting blinded off if she has to. And she decides to fold and keep her chips for tomorrow, since the blinds will be going down tomorrow.
So we go to Oliveira, and Oliveira's going to play.
I think, wow, Oliveira, I don't know, with an ace-8 suited, I think he saw Green trying to steal the blinds there and couldn't resist going after the chips that Green put in there.
Think this is an ego thing?
It could be. It got Ald off the hand.
You have a pair of aces.
So Oliveira flops a pair of aces. He moves way ahead in this hand.
We have a diamond draw now. We have aces and kings with a queen.
So you hear Sal, the dealer, explaining that Green now can win the hand with any diamond.
Well, the river card is the key card. And here it is. It is the 10 of diamonds.
Unbelievable. Green pushes all in after hearing that no matter what, all he had to do was fold and be in tomorrow. Knocks out Oliveira with a diamond flush and pushes himself closer to the chip lead for day 2.
Trav Green moving into the 4th position with the total chip count. Ken Pascoe, however, continues to lead with 96,000 chips. So what's in store for the top players in round 2?
You can run real well and then you can just get unlucky. Or you can put your money in bad. Last year I put my money in bad. The other player set a trap and I fell right into it. Well, sometimes we set traps and sometimes we get them set on us.
Yeah, this year, any prediction?
Hopefully setting more than stepping into them.
I think getting a hand, you got to push. Put the pressure on your opponent, make them make the decision with a good or mediocre hand. The structures they go by really fast in these structures, so the blinds raise real quick. And that's what I noticed last year, and I started to use that in my advantage.
You kind of just want to wait for the right opportunities and let them come to you. You don't want to take too many chances, put yourself at risk. Tomorrow's when gambling comes into play.
You know, I try not to get too aggressive.
Sure.
I see my play seems to be a little strong when I got less chips. You know, if I do get to a point where I have chips to play with, I think I'm going to settle down and relax. And I think I'm more relaxed when I have less chips, actually. But it's different every time because, like you said, I deal with people all the time, and I try to adapt to the person.
I actually heard this once from a well-known poker player. If it wasn't for luck, I'd win every one of them. And hopefully this year luck is on my side.
Promotional consideration and fees paid by the Holiday Inn, Spokane Airport.
Needless to say, round one, very interesting twists and turns throughout the entire session. Round two, next week. Check your local listings. So, Anthony, we're down to 80.
Actually,
whoop, wait a minute. It's just 79.
79, correct. After that last hand fiasco, Oliveira was eliminated, and we're going to start round two with 79 players instead of 80.
Northern Quest Resort and Casino. It's the Best of the West Poker Challenge. Round two. We'll see you next week.